Yeah, here's a quick update on whether or not the changes that I made to my game, even though they were made kind of like in a game that was in progress, it seems, based on looking at the data, it seems to have really solved or potentially solved some of the issues I was having. Um, if you take a look up here, you can see where when I started getting these errors. So if you take a look here, if you look at this last column, you can actually see that I was able to play the game about an hour before I got a crash. And of course, that was the UI crash. That one was on me. Well, it was. I realized when I noticed that when I went to do a save, by pressing escape and then selecting save game, it wasn't highlighted. So I was like, yeah, okay, this thing is gonna crash. And when I went to use the vehicle to travel, yeah, it's definitely what it did. But that was the fault. I think what the mod author did when basically when you try to clear this rubble, you have to put these explosive charges in this wall of rock, and it asks you, and it basically says stand back. I didn't stand back far enough, so he played an animation to knock me down, which the animation kicked me out of my UI, but it didn't really kick me out. It just removed the UI off of the screen. But I was still in the UI, so that's what crashed when I went to fast travel. And basically, I think what he should have done instead of just playing the animation, there should I don't know, and I don't know that much about scripting, but if I was in the UI, there should have been a test for it in the script, and then kick me out of the UI before playing an animation that for something that would like knock me down. Um, but other than that, um, then the next one I got about 8 hours of gameplay. So after about 8 hours, I got another crash. 4 hours, here's a crash. 5 hours, here's a crash. And then I had one here that was 8 hours crash, 2 hours crash, 3 hours crash, and then I have 8 hours crash again, and then I have 16 minutes. There's a crash, and then there's like 6 hours of crash. Now here's where I made those changes, and so far I'm up to 13 hours without a crash, and that is coming back and forth to Sanctuary consistently. Every time I go out on like a mission or a run, when I collect resources, I'll always bring them back and drop them off in Sanctuary, including most of the armor, weapons, all that stuff gets thrown in the workbench. Um, and this is adding, these are adding mods mid playthrough, although it is kind of selective. I don't really pile a lot of them in. I've kind of learned that if I pile too many in, it makes too many changes and it will definitely cause issues. But one of the things I did where I've got, if you take a look here, I've got Fallen. There's my merge patch. Now that's just a merge patch. It's kind of a work in progress. There's a lot I need to add to it. It's more like a placeholder, and then as I kind of play, do playthrough tests, I'll kind of throw stuff in there, just to see how it works. I have a bashed patch. A lot of things are level list injected, so they're script injected. Therefore, it doesn't really require level lists. But a lot of things do still have level lists, so I put this in here just to cover that ground. Then the complex sorter patch is built using a script through Xedit or Fallout 4 Edit. Um, and then there's a complex sorter for Mutant Menagerie, which does, I'm not really sure, it probably changes the way things are tagged or something. So whenever I add something to the load order, I always disable these these four items in my load order. I'll take them out. I'll just go in, take them out like this, and then I will go back in and, of course, save it. So I'll write the plugin list back out. So I'll go back and save it. And then I'll run a bashed patch, and then I'll run, because I don't really do FO4 edit, but I do take it out. Then I run like a bash patch, and then I'll run the complex sorter, which rebuilds the script, and it rebuilds this particular plugin. And then once that's done, and I don't like once I do the bash patch, I don't reactivate it to build the complex sorter thing. And then when I'm done, I'll go back in, reactivate all of these, and then I will save the plugin list back out. Which is basically, I've got the menu kind of configured here too. Uh, you can kind of look and see where it's it they're actually activated. So the plugin list won't contain these three items when I go in and rebuild the bash through rybash, and then I rebuild the complex sorter patch through that script that Mater developed. So that is something that I do with those, anytime I add or remove something. So I do this. Um, but yeah, so far it looks good. There's 13 hours in. I haven't had any crashes, so you can see the time frames between the consistent crashes I was having. Um, and then up here, you can actually see where I went a day, but that again, that was moving the pylon. That was that initial problem. Then I went way over here where I was like 2 days without a crash, without a single crash. And that puts me at, let's see if I can check it like this. I don't know if the data is in here. Let's see. Yeah, it was a level 43. So you can see that, because I renamed the saves with more information so that I can actually use it just more visual rather than anything else. But I was level 43 at the time, so I made it. So that means I was kind of all over the map, doing a lot of different quests. So here I'm 13 hours in without a crash. And if we take a look at, let's see, let's do supply lines. So here in Sanctuary, I do have, so each one of these locations I'm going to mention, I do have both the salvage bot, tidy bot, and I do have the repair bot. The repair bot I have to wait, he's configured to wait in his pod, and each location on the salvage bot has different things configured in case I want to keep like the chain link fence in some areas, at least for now. But I had to configure each one of those before they would salvage anything. And the tidy bot, he just kind of does this thing with the corpses. So each one of these settlements I mentioned are going to have all three bots. I have none of them configured to scan outside of the settlement area. So Sanctuary has all three, Red Rocket has three, Abernathy Farm has three, Sunshine Tidings has three, Starlight Drive-In has three. Let's see here. Ten Pines has three, and Outpost Zamonja has three. So these are the two I just added the three bots to. One of the things I can tell you about the previs pre-combine, I'm going to literally, from what I've seen, especially when you're running around the, we'll try to run around here for a little bit. One of the things I've noticed is the frame rates are much better. It's much better. So it looks like that he's generating previs pre-combined across the map, and therefore any mod that goes to change it or accidentally break it, it will provide previs pre-combined data for the areas that are broken. They have a few mods that do modify some areas, and like one of them was oh man, I think it was General Atomics Factory, where on the inside you could see through walls and everything. It was a clustered mess, and that using PRP absolutely fixed that. I tried turning off, as a quick note, I tried to turn off the previs pre-combined to see if that was the issue. I did it globally in the any file, I believe, and just to see if that I could actually, all the disappearing walls and all that would stop. But instead, it did in some cases, but not others. So it's almost like it disabled part of the previs system, but not all of it when it should have disabled it all. Or maybe it was one. I think there's two settings, and I believe I got both settings. I'm not entirely sure if I got them both. But the more you run around, it actually improves the frame rate quite a bit, especially if you get out towards oh gosh, Corvega. If you get out in that direction. Let's get these guys real quick. All right, where'd you go? I know there's somewhere. Ah, there he is. He's running slow motion. See if you lead this guy up a little bit. Oop, there's a couple more here. They still try to run back for enemy weapons or their ally, you know, their faction weapons, which is kind of a funny thing. But you can actually see where might be hard to tell, but the frame rate is much smoother. It's less. The load is less on my graphic card, especially when you're looking in smaller distances. So yeah, as far as precombines go, I would definitely consider, like, I'm putting this PRP, this Previs Precombines Repair Pack, definitely is consistently going in any load order I have, because it has definitely repaired. You can call it repair, but it's basically fixing the game so that it doesn't shut off, or it's not dealing with a mix match of incompatible previs precombined
sometimes
data.
I wonder about everything we see.
And it allowed me to put mods in that they seem to work together now. So I've been running around for a while. I took a break. I got to get back and do some coding here, and then I'm going to hop back and do some more game testing. But yeah, to me it made a huge difference. And the more cells that he adds, like the one area which was near GNN, let me see if I can locate this area. It was a GNN area. Let's see, what was it? Let's see. Let's take a look at a list here. See if GNN shows up here. It's not Gunners Plaza. All right. So let's see if we can pick this and let's show on the map. Okay, so here we go. So there is an area near here. I think I went to Jamaica Plains and then ran to it. I think it's somewhere around in here. It definitely, on the Previs 65 version 65.4, there was definitely some previs broken here, and the 65.5 definitely fixed it, because I was like in this, it's not a building, it was like an outdoor structure, and literally, depending on how you looked, walls and seats and different parts of the structure would appear and reappear. So it probably was from a mix match of the two types of data that is in the previs. Let me see here. It's definitely, let's see. Let's go ahead and take a look. I think do it this way might be easier. All right. Let's bring this up. Not that. This. So it's got to be a combination between we have the geometry and the CDX. Maybe these two different types of data are getting confused across different mods, and that's what's causing the issue. Or somehow it requires access to the objects because it's only rendering particular planes of an object. So it's basically providing a culling map, you know, against the objects. It still has to look the objects up. So that might make more sense to me for a more advanced kind of a system, if that would be something that would make sense that they would do. So yeah, I gotta get some more coding work done here, but yeah, it seems to make a 100% difference, better frame rates, more stable game, and we're up to 13 hours here. So when I get more time, I will definitely put in a test to see if I can get 3, 4, 5 hours again, if I can get that kind of time to do it, and we'll see if we can get those numbers back up.
Hey.